This is Chronicles of the Chosen One, The Lost Son, written and narrated by Ashish Acharya. Warning: this book displays moments and mentions of extreme violence, language, self-harm, suicide, adultery, and other adult themes. This book, though it may be science fiction, tackles very real issues that people deal with in their everyday lives. Some scenes and scenarios might be a lot for some readers to take. This book is not for everyone. You have been warned. Chapter 1. Armageddon. Earth 0474A, Overworld 2074. The world lay in ruin, a desolate wasteland battered by relentless rain, raging storms, and unyielding floods. Amid this apocalypse, a sprawling mansion stood as a lone vestige of the past, its once grand facade now pockmarked by the scars of war. High above the crumbling structure, 40-year-old Ace Kemper darted through the toxic sky. His laser vision seared through the darkness as winged creatures armed with plasma rifles descended in droves. With every precise, blazing shot, he dismantled one attacker after another, his determination as fierce as the heat radiating from his eyes. In a brutal moment, he disintegrated an approaching foot soldier with a single gaze. Then, as if on cue, a low, echoing boom shattered the air behind him. Through a swirling portal that had ripped open the very fabric of reality, two figures emerged. A man clad in sleek, futuristic black attire, and a woman draped in a loose black robe, her dark hair billowing around her. Ace's eyes steeled with resolve as he furrowed his brow, recognizing the familiar menace in the man's eyes. It's them, he thought. Before Ace could react, two hulking alien brutes burst through the shattered doorway, charging with savage intent. One swung wildly, a plasma-charged fist slicing through the air, while the other lunged to ensnare him. Ace's eyes flashed red as his heat vision bisected the first foe in half with a splurch, yet a brutal punch from the second sent him crashing into the mansion's decaying wall. Another brute, emerging from the gloom of the doorway, advanced with determined malice. In that moment, Ace's defiance faltered. Raising his hands, he lowered his head as if surrendering to fate. The brute seized him by his arms, dragging him from the sanctuary of the mansion's interior and depositing him at the feet of his half-brother, Kai Il. Kai stepped forward, his gaze icy as he stared at Ace roughly. Ace looked up at the young Kryptonian universal hybrid. Well, the whelp lives, Kai uttered coldly. Hello to you too, brother, Ace said bitterly. Kai said nothing, looking into the eyes of his older half-brother. With a look of disgust, he uttered a question like spitting venom. Where is it? Ace spat at his feet. I'll never tell you. Kai frowned. He arced his fist back and punched Ace hard in the face, the blow creating a shockwave. Ace's head turned as he spit blood onto the ground, and Kai grabbed his brother by the neck and lifted him up with one hand. I won't ask you again. Where is it? He demanded, his voice a low snarl. Through gasping breaths, Ace managed a strained reply. You know, it's not here. Otherwise, don't you think your muscle brains would have found it by now? Kai's eyes narrowed. He exhaled sharply through his nose, then threw Ace to the ground in a heap. Turning quickly, he barked orders toward a squad of foot soldiers. Search the lower levels, he commanded, his tone leaving no room for hesitation. The alien soldiers nodded, fluttering their wings and flying off. Ace groaned, wiping his lip as he pushed himself up. He leveled a look at Kai. Still her little puppet, huh? You always did follow orders well. Kai's entire body went rigid. His fingers curled into fists at his sides. Ace let out a dry chuckle. Guess some things never change. A muscle twitched in Kai's jaw. You think this is funny? His voice was barely above a whisper, but it carried an unmistakable weight. Ace shrugged. I think it's predictable. You're still letting her tell you what to do. Still so desperate for her approval that you'd tear apart anyone she points at. He wiped blood from his chin. That's why you'll never be anything more than her attack dog. Something snapped. Kai accelerated in a blur, his movements a deadly dance of superspeed. He hit Ace with a thunderous backfist that sent him crashing through a section of the mansion. Rolling across shattered floors and debris, Ace attempted to recover as Kai lunged from above with a knee strike, denting the ground. Dodging by mere inches, Ace retaliated with a barrage of punches, but Kai blocked every strike before seizing him in a vice-like grip. Suddenly, the woman, silent until now, exploded into motion, her speed a near imperceptible blur. Her strikes came in rapid succession, each one precise and brutal, forcing Ace onto the defensive. His every attempt to counter was met with effortless evasion, his movements growing sloppier under the relentless onslaught. Then, in a flash, she feinted, baiting him into a misstep, before slamming him into the ground with bone-jarring force. Dazed, Ace barely had time to roll before Kai was on him. In a swift, practiced motion, Kai seized him in a fireman's carry and drove him into the ground with earth-shaking impact. Ace gasped, pain radiating through his body as he struggled to rise. But Kai was faster, sidestepping his lunge and locking him in a tight headlock. His grip was unyielding, but his voice, low, almost mournful, portrayed something strangely familial. "Despite our differences, you have no idea how much I'd rather not do this," he murmured. "But killing you is the only way this gets made right." His arms tightened, his expression hardening. "And I can't fail." Ace's vision blurred. He tried to speak, to force out some kind of plea, but only a hoarse, desperate, "Wait," escaped his lips. Kai didn't hesitate. With a sharp, calculated motion, he twisted Ace's neck. A sickening crack echoed through the ruins. Ace's body went limp, his once unbreakable form now nothing more than a lifeless shell. His eyes, once filled with defiance, dulled into emptiness as he crumpled into the rubble. For a long, agonizing moment, Kai simply stared at him. His face, so often twisted in cold fury, was unreadable now, locked in something between regret and resignation. "I wish you hadn't been in the way," he whispered, the words almost lost to the silence. "I really do." He then turned to the woman. "It's done," he stated flatly. She offered a cold, enigmatic smile, placing a steadying hand on his shoulder. "Oh no, dear," she replied softly, her tone laced with determination. "This is merely the beginning. We must go to the root of the cause." Kai lifted his eyes, hesitating as the weight of his actions bore down upon him. "And what of the artifact?" he asked, the question trembling on his lips. "It is unneeded. He was already dead here. Finding it would be useless," she finished, opening and pressing a circular device that hummed with latent power as a new portal materialized. "Killing his adoptive son doesn't solve our problems any less than killing him would." Kai's gaze faltered, conflicted by a deep, unspoken shame. As the woman reached out and gently rubbed his cheek, she beckoned. "Come." For a heartbeat, he hesitated, haunted by the thought, "I never met them properly." His voice faltered. "Why must this happen? Why must we kill them?" Her expression hardened, and in a tone that was much harsher than before, she growled, "What don't you understand? They abandoned you. There's no if in this, Kai. If you want your revenge, you must not show weakness. Embrace your destiny, shoulder your doubt, or be consumed by it." Kai looked at the ground. Yes, mother." The woman held out her hand. "That's my boy. Now, on you get." Without meeting her eyes, Kai hesitated a bit, then finally took her hand. Together they stepped into the portal, which pulsed and winked out of existence just as a new sound cut through the chaos. A sonic boom. The proverbial camera pulled away from a dead Ace Kemper as the structure crumbled further. The shot ended on a wide take, reddened lightning striking above the scene. Chapter 2. The Night Out. Earth 0474, Overworld. 2032. 4 years after defeating the Doom Force. The neon glow of the downtown movie theater shone brightly under a dusky sky streaked with pink and violet. Inside the lobby, the Chosen One and a now 18-year-old Ace Kemper strolled toward the ticket booth, chatting excitedly about the new blockbuster they'd been dying to see. "I heard this one's got some insane special effects," Ace said, adjusting his jacket as he glanced around. People at work wouldn't shut up about it. The Chosen One, now sporting slight facial hair, smirked, pushing up his circle-framed glasses. "Work, huh? Thought you were too busy with training to care what people were saying there." Ace shrugged, a hint of amusement in his expression. "Hey, even heroes need downtime." "True," the Chosen One patted his shoulder. "Just remember, tonight's for fun, but if something comes up..." Ace rolled his eyes, already knowing where this was going. I know. Be ready." You really don't turn it off, do you? Before the Chosen One could reply, a burst of shouting from across the street shattered the easygoing atmosphere. Through the theater's wide glass doors, a commotion unfolded at the nearby convenience store. A group of masked figures stormed the place, forcing terrified customers to empty their pockets as one of them waved a gun wildly. Ace sighed, already sensing the inevitable. So much for downtime. The Chosen One cracked his knuckles, smirking as he took off the glasses. Come on, we won't miss much. We'll wrap this up in a jiffy, and then it's back to the show. Ace smirked. Race you there? The pair bolted out the theater doors. In the blink of an eye, they were outside, crossing the street faster than anyone could register. The pair of robbers barely had time to react before the two superpowered figures entered the store. One of the thugs spun, panic flashing in his eyes as he fired his gun. The bullet whizzed straight at Ace, only for him to tilt his head slightly, letting it pass harmlessly by. He raised an eyebrow. Really? Before the gunman could process what happened, Ace surged forward, grabbing the barrel. So uncivilized, he said, crushing the firearm in his grip like a soda can. The Chosen One was already handling the others. He weaved through their frantic swings, dodging a crowbar before grabbing its wielder and flipping him straight into a snack line. Another came at him with a knife, only for him to sidestep and send him sprawling with a precise strike to the gut. Meanwhile, Ace had cornered two robbers, and with an effortless push, sent them stumbling into an old pallet jack by the register. They collapsed in a tangled heap, groaning. Next time, try shopping carts. Much easier to steer, Ace quipped, grinning. Within minutes, it was over. The robbers lay subdued among scattered merchandise and broken shelves, groaning as police sirens echoed in the distance. A small crowd of relieved onlookers gathered, murmuring their thanks as the tension dissipated. The Chosen One dusted off his hands before glancing at Ace. Not bad, kiddo. Ace smirked. Not bad? You want to run that back? The Chosen One chuckled. All right. You did good. He gestured toward the theater with a smile. Now what do you say? Ready to catch that movie? Ace stretched his arms, his competitive streak flaring up. You already know my answer, but let's make it interesting. Last one there does the dishes. The Chosen One arched an eyebrow. Bold move. Ace crouched in a mock running stance. The Chosen One followed suit, copying his son. 5, 4... Ace began to count. The Chosen One smiles, looking away. 3, 2, 1, go! Ace yells, speeding through the count. With a burst of speed, Ace took off, leaving the Chosen One in his dust. He shook his head, grinning before following suit. In a blur, the two heroes dashed back toward the theater, returning to their movie as if nothing had happened. As they slipped through the theater's entrance just in time, they exchanged a final nod, smiling to themselves about the people they just saved. The lights dimmed and the previews began to roll. Chapter 3. Arrival. Earth 0474. Overworld. The next day, Ace stirred awake to the sound of loud humming and dishes clattering downstairs. He groaned, burying his face deeper into his pillow. Ugh, what are you doing, Dad? He thinks to himself, wrapping his pillow around his head. After a few more seconds of muffled noise, he gave up on trying to sleep. Rubbing his eyes, he threw off his blanket and got to his feet, dressed in just his pajama bottoms. With a tired stretch and a yawn, he grabbed a black tank top off of his chair and lazily slung it on as he made his way downstairs. What he walked into upon descending the stairs was nothing short of disaster. The Chosen One stood in the kitchen wearing an apron, fumbling through the aftermath of what could barely be called breakfast. The blender, running on its own, tipped over and crashed to the ground, spilling a thick and lumpy mess of a smoothie everywhere. The toaster ejected a pair of charred, smoking slices of bread into the air. A burst of fire flared up from the pan on the stove, and the Chosen One swore under his breath as he dashed over to the sink, frantically dousing the pan with the tap like this was all part of the plan. When he noticed Ace standing there, eyes wide, he dramatically dropped the pan into the sink with a loud clang and threw his hands in the air. Ta-da! Thought I'd make you breakfast. Ace laughs heartily, surveying the battlefield of a kitchen as he walks over to his father. Breakfast? I think you mean broken fist. The Chosen One chuckled to himself. One would think after billions of years, I'd have figured out how to cook. Ace grinned, shaking his head. I don't know, Dad, he says through laughter. Burnt toast, flamed eggs, and a ground smoothie. Seems like a champion's breakfast to me. The Chosen One chuckled, rolling up his sleeves. All right. Ready? Ace clapped his hands together. Thought you'd never ask. They dashed around the kitchen, cleaning up. Dishes were loaded into the dishwasher, trash was taken out, and the mess was swept up in a blur. Within moments, the kitchen was spotless. After they finished, they skidded to a stop, admiring their handiwork. Ace leaned across the counter, arms crossed. Next time, let me cook. Or order Cora. The chosen one chuckles, patting his adopted son on the back. Oh, I don't know, man. I think I make a pretty mean omelet. Ace chuckles, propping himself up on the table. Mean is definitely a word to describe it. The chosen one smirks, walking over to the fruit basket and grabbing a handful of fruits. Well, you can't mess up fresh fruit. He took off his glasses and ignited his heat vision, preparing to slice the assortment of fruits. As Ace watched, a thought crossed his mind. His expression shifted. Hey, Dad? The chosen one glanced up, deactivating his glowing eyes. Yeah, kiddo? Ace hesitated for a moment, looking down. I was just thinking about 4 years ago. After... He went silent for a bit, unable to finish the sentence. How angry I got. How helpless I felt. And I couldn't help but wonder, how many more evil versions of you do you think are out there? The chosen one exhaled slowly, putting back on the glasses and juggling the fruit in his hands. I wish I had an easy answer for that, kiddo. But the truth is, bad and good aren't always as simple as they seem. One person's bad is another's good. A version of me could have just been dealt a bad hand, or a version of you could have. Ace clenched his jaw. But I was dealt a bad hand. I didn't ask for these powers. I didn't ask to be this strong. Because of them, I'm gonna outlive everyone I care about. I can't just have a normal life, because one wrong move and I could accidentally level a building. And he swallowed hard. I love you, Pops, but I lost my dad. The only other person in this world who was like me, and I couldn't protect him. He wipes away a tear, looking up at his father. And now I'm scared that I'll lose you too. The chosen one sighs. Putting down the fruit, he walks over to Ace, sitting down and resting a firm hand on his shoulder. Listen to me, Ace. I didn't know your father well, but at the end of the day, he was, well, me. I think I know him, and coactively myself, enough to say that he did what he did for a reason. And that reason is, he wouldn't have done what he did unless he knew you'd make it out. Ace looked up, tears in his eyes. The chosen one gave him a small smile. He believed in you, kid, and so do I. Ace wiped his face and chuckled softly. Well, you're not that bad of a parent, I guess, even if your cooking is a war crime. The chosen one smiles at his son and pulls him into a hug. Yeah, well, you're the only thing I've made that I'm worried about right now. Ace smiled, resting in the hug for a moment before pulling away. They break, the chosen one going back to the kitchen, picking up a knife. Well, you better hurry up and finish that fruit. Gotta have energy for the day. Ace wandered into the living room and plopped onto the couch. He grabbed the remote, flipping on the TV. The news was on, an urgent broadcast. And just now, a portal has opened on Main Street. Chaos is breaking out as civilians flee. First responders are attempting to assess the situation. Ace shut the TV off. The chosen one walked in, already sensing what was coming. Ace sighed. Even for us, that's not normal. The chosen one nods. You're right about that. We should go check it out. Ace ran a hand through his hair. So much for an easy morning. Guess I'm missing work again. The chosen one sets his glasses on the counter and puts on his flannel, and Ace puts on his black jacket. They look at each other and dash out the door, flying off to the source of the disturbance. Chapter 4. The Lost Sun. Earth 0474. Overworld. As the two heroes rocketed towards the scene, they scanned the surroundings. The chosen one flew with his arms relaxed at his sides. Ace caught up to his father, stretching out his arms in the classic Superman pose. Man, Dad, you're fast. I left before you and you still beat me. The chosen one glanced at his son. Tell me what you see, Ace. Remember what I taught you. To see with more than your eyes. Use your senses, your instincts. Ace took a deep breath, closing his eyes. He let the sounds around him filter in. The rhythmic thrum of the city, the distant honking of traffic, the hum of power lines. But beneath it all, something was wrong. Screams, sirens, fires crackling. His eyes snapped open. His vision zoomed in, cutting through buildings and streetlights like a high-powered telescope. On Main Street, a massive swirling portal churned in the middle of the road, its edges crackling with unstable energy. Cars were overturned, storefronts shattered. People were fleeing in every direction, trying to escape the chaos. And at the center of it all, two figures stood unmoved. Ace's stomach tightened. I see people, but they aren't running. There's two of them. The Chosen One nodded. Describe them. Ace focused again. The man looked young, early 20s at most, with dark hair, a strong build, and a face set in a deep scowl. He wore futuristic black clothes with gray combat pants, and around his neck he wore a silver pendant with a crest on it that Ace had never seen before. The woman, on the other hand, was striking, tall and athletic, with sharp features and flowing dark hair. She wore a loose black robe and lots of silver jewelry, not at all dressed for combat. Unlike her companion, she seemed amused. I see a man and a woman, dressed in black. The man's wearing a pendant, some crest, I think, and the woman's dressed in a black robe, with a lot of silver accented jewelry. She's very attractive. Focus, Ace. Sorry. They're, floating. Wait, it looks like the man's saying something. The man's mouth moved. Even from the sky, Ace could hear the venom in his voice. There you are. Ace tensed. Dad, he sees us. The Chosen One turned toward the street, his expression unreadable. Then let's not keep them waiting. With that, the two streaked downward, landing on the cracked pavement with a controlled impact. The young man scoffed. His gaze lingered on Ace, dark eyes scanning him like a puzzle he'd been trying for hours to solve. Hello, Ace, the young man says. You're younger than I remember. His tone was cold, filled with something that sounded like disappointment. Then, his gaze flicked to the Chosen One, and his expression twisted into open disgust. And you, I was hoping to see you here. Salutations, father. Ace's eyes narrowed. Who the hell are you? And how do you know who we are? The man's jaw clenched. My name is Kai. His fist tightened, his breath slow and controlled, like he was holding back a storm of rage. I'm your brother. Ace felt something icy crawl up his spine. That's impossible. My family is dead. I never had another sibling. Kai's nostrils flared. Not by blood, not by time, but technically, yes, we're half-siblings. Different mothers, but... His gaze flicked to the Chosen One, filled with disdain. Unfortunately, we share the same father. Ace stepped forward, fists clenching. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Kai ignored him. His glare stayed locked on the Chosen One. Speaking of which, father, he sneered the word like an insult. Seeing you here, so young, so self-righteous, it makes me sick. The Chosen One frowned. Can't say I'm thrilled about this interaction either, pal. Kai's lip curled. It disgusts me. Your relaxed mannerisms, your stoic demeanor, the way you act like you don't even know me. The Chosen One crossed his arms. That's because I don't. Kai laughed bitterly. Of course you don't. You didn't live through it. You never had to see what kind of a monster you really are. Ace stepped between them, his chest tightening. What are you even talking about? We've never met you two in our lives. Now, you're terrorizing our town. Leave or be dealt with. Kai turned his gaze back to Ace. His smirking expression was beaming with reverence, but beneath it was something else. Resentment. Ooh, I like this fire in you, Kai mused. Shame you weren't like this back in my world. You were older than me, but still a scared little child. I snuffed you out like a candle, and you didn't even put up a fight. His voice was smooth, casual. It was pathetic. Ace's heartbeat pounded in his ears. He clenched his fists. Shut it, jerk off. Kai's smirk widened. Ooh, seems I've struck a nerve. The Chosen One put a hand out. Wait, you said your world. Do you mean an alternate timeline? And you're from the future? His expression darkened. That would explain a lot. Kai's eyes burned with frustration. Of course it makes sense. You aren't my father. You're just another version of him. Another disappointment. His fist trembled. A disappointment we will purge from the universe. Before Ace could respond, the woman beside Kai suddenly stepped forward, a smirk playing on her lips. "Well," she said, her voice like silk, "I have to say, I wasn't expecting this." Her gaze lingered on the chosen one, and something about it made Ace's stomach churn. She tilted her head, studying him like he was a rare artifact. "You're different from my version. Younger. Less..." She dragged her eyes up and down him and her lips twitched. "Worn." The chosen one raised a brow. "And you are?" She smiled. "Lex ill." He hesitated. "So we were right. You're Kryptonian?" "More than that." Her smirk deepened. "I'm your Kryptonian." The chosen one blinked. "Excuse me?" Lexil took a slow step forward, her eyes trailing over him like a predator sizing up prey. "I have to admit, I expected someone more scarred." She reached out, brushing her fingers against his cheek as she walked around him. "But I like this version of you more." The chosen one stiffened. "Lady, I have no idea who you are." Lexil chuckled, her voice a purr. "You wouldn't, beloved. Not yet, at least." Ace looked between them, his confusion mounting. "Can someone please tell me what the hell is going on?" Kai's jaw clenched. "What's going on, brother, is that we're here for a reason." His eyes locked onto Ace. "And you're not ready for what's coming." Ace stepped forward, squaring his shoulders. "Wanna bet, dipshit? Try me." Kai's hands clenched into fists, and for a brief second, the ground beneath them trembled. But before he could move, Lexil reached out, pressing a hand to his chest. Ah, she murmured, her gaze still fixed on the chosen one. "It's not time." Kai exhaled sharply through his nose. "Fine." Without another word, the two Kryptonians turned, lifting into the air. Lexil clicked the device in her hand and a portal opened behind them, crackling as they floated slowly toward it. Lexil glanced back one last time, her lips curling in amusement. "See you soon, darling." And with that, they took off, flying into the rift. The gateway closed with a whoop. Ace stood there, heart pounding, mind racing. The chosen one let out a long breath. "Well," he ran a hand through his hair. "That was weird." Ace swallowed hard. "Dad, who the hell were they? They seemed familiar." The chosen one's gaze lingered on the sky, where the portal had just been moments ago. "I don't know," he replied, his voice low, "but I get the feeling this won't be the last we see of them." Chapter 5. Mirrored Thoughts. Earth 0474, Overworld. This scene is written like a mental tug-of-war. It jumps between Kai and Ace's thoughts, with their respective parents comforting them and reassuring them of their feelings. Ace and the Chosen One landed on the front steps of their home. The air around them was thick with the weight of their meeting with the future warriors, the encounter still fresh in their minds. Ace pushed the door open, the hinges creaking as they stepped inside. The warmth of the house should have been comforting, but instead, it felt stifling. The Chosen One exhaled sharply, closing the door. "Well, that was odd." Ace scoffed. "Odd? Try batshit insane. A guy shows up claiming to be my brother, tells me he killed me in some other world, and then leaves through a portal with his creepy ass..." He hesitated, grimacing. "Mom?" He rubbed his face. "No, that's not just odd. It's a whole new level of messed up. That's fucking nightmare fuel." The Chosen One didn't respond right away. He unzipped his jacket, tossing it onto the couch. In some unknown area, Kai and Lexil stepped into their lair through their portal. The energy behind them swirled before snapping shut, leaving the room in a heavy silence. The lair was dimly lit, sleek Kryptonian metal reflecting the faint glow of control panels. Kai clenched his fists, seething. That was pathetic. His voice was low, tense. He was pathetic. Lexil smirked, stepping past him. "Which one?" Kai shot her a glare. "Both of them." Back at his house, Ace paces the living room, his fists clenched at his sides. What did he mean? He killed me. How the hell am I supposed to process that? His breath was coming quicker now, his mind racing through possibilities he didn't want to consider. The Chosen One sat down, elbows resting on his knees. His jaw was set, his expression a flicker of unease. He wasn't lying. Ace stopped pacing. How do you know? Back at their lair, Kai grips the edge of the table. I saw the way he looked at me, Kai muttered. Confused. Clueless. He scoffed. He has no idea who I am. Lexale folded her arms, leaning against the wall and watching him with a knowing expression. You sound disappointed. Kai turned sharply. I am disappointed. His fingers twitched, itching for a fight as he exhaled through gritted teeth. I expected a challenge. Instead, I got some naive little brat playing hero. He doesn't even know what he is, what he becomes. Lexale arched a brow. You expected him to? Back at the house, the Chosen One looks at Ace, his eyes narrowing. I've met people like him before. His voice was low, thoughtful. He wasn't just angry, he was hurt. Ace frowned. Hurt? The Chosen One nodded. People don't look at someone like that unless they've been severely mistreated by them before. His gaze darkened. Or by someone just like them. Kai paces, his voice dripping with bitterness and resentment. He looked at me like I was a stranger. His fist tightened, like he didn't even know what he's caused me. His breath was sharp. I'll show him. Cut back to Ace, frustration creeping in. So what? He thinks I'm some failure in his world? Ace scoffed. Screw him. He doesn't know me. Cut to Kai, eyes cold. He will. Lexale watched him carefully. Careful, Kai. Her tone was smooth, measured. Don't let your emotions cloud your focus. Your goals should not be personal. Kai's gaze flicked to her, a storm behind his eyes. It is personal. You taught me that. Lexale studied him for a moment before exhaling through her nose. I know. Her voice softened, only slightly. But our mission has gone far beyond revenge. It's about correction. Kai turned away, jaw set. He didn't answer. Cut to the Chosen One, who exhaled slowly. There's more to this, he murmured, looking out the window. They're gonna keep coming back. Cut to Lexale, eyes glinting as she observed her son. Oh, we'll be seeing them again, she said, lips curving into a smirk. Her gaze lingered on the swirling energy of the control panel. The Chosen One and Lexale finished their sentences together in a split screen. Very soon. Chapter 6. Midnight Questions. Earth 0474. Overworld. The city lay in silence. From the outside, everything seemed still, peaceful, except for one restless mind. Ace sat on the edge of his bed, staring out the window. The streetlights cast a dull glow over the roads below, their hum barely audible over the sounds of the night. He should have been sleeping. After everything that had happened today, he needed it, but his mind wouldn't shut up. Kai, Lexale, the future they berated him and his father for. Ace exhaled, running a hand through his hair. The Chosen One had told him to let it go for the night, to rest and deal with it tomorrow. But how was he supposed to just sleep, knowing that somewhere out there was some guy claiming to be his brother, who said he killed him in another life? He needed answers. What could have happened between me and Kai in the future to make him hate me so much? He kept asking himself the same question, but every time he thought he was getting closer to the answer, the walls went up. Kai was like a ghost from a nightmare that wouldn't leave, and Ace didn't know how to fight it. Without another thought, he got up, quietly opening the window. Stepping out into the cool night air, he watched as the city stretched below him, endless and quiet. He shivered slightly as his shirtless body became ridden with cold. Man, it's cold tonight. He took a deep breath. Then, he jumped out of the window. The wind rushed past him before he caught himself midair, hovering. He rose higher and higher, the city lights shrinking into a scattered blur beneath him. For a moment, he let himself just float, weightless in the open sky. Then, he closed his eyes, focused. Kai. He didn't know if it would work, if Kai would even hear him out, but something told him he would. There was a connection between them, whether Kai liked it or not. So Ace spoke, his voice low but steady. I know you can hear me. Silence. Ace opened his eyes, scanning the horizon. Nothing. Maybe this was a mistake. Then, a rush of air, a flicker of movement. Kai was suddenly there, floating a few feet away, arms crossed, gaze sharp. He looked unimpressed. You're either brave or stupid. His voice was cold. I should kill you where you stand. Ace held up his hands, ignoring the spike of fear in his chest. I just want to talk. Kai scoffed. Talk? After everything I told you? After everything you did to me in my world? Didn't I make it clear talking is pointless? Ace swallowed. Easy. That wasn't me. Kai's jaw tensed. They hovered there, silent, the tension between them thick enough to choke on. Ace studied him, the way his fists clenched, the way his body was coiled like a spring, ready to snap. He wasn't just angry, he was furious. But there was something else beneath it, something Ace couldn't quite place. That day, you kept saying I was weak, Ace said carefully, that I was pathetic, that I didn't fight back. His eyes narrowed. So, why are you so mad now? If I was nothing in your world, why do you care so much about me here? Kai's expression darkened. Don't flatter yourself. Ace shook his head. I'm not. I just think you're lying. About me. About yourself. Kai's nose flared. Ace felt it before he saw it. The shift in the air, the sudden pressure like a storm about to break. Kai's hand twitched, and for a second, Ace thought he was about to swing. Instead, Kai took a slow breath, his muscles rigid. You really want to know? Kai snarled. You want to know why I hate you so much? He moved closer, his eyes burning with an emotion Ace wasn't ready for. In my world, it wasn't father who betrayed me. You were the one who stabbed the knife in my back. Ace flinched, the weight of the words hitting harder than he expected. His mind raced. You wanted to be family, brothers. We met in secret, saving lives, helping people. You showed me what it was like to be a hero. I fought beside you, followed your orders, watched your back. And then, his voice sharpened like a blade against glass. You forgot about me. Ace's chest tightened as the guilt surged up, the weight of his future self's mistakes crashing over him. I got some ideas about how we could be more efficient. You were appalled, Kai continued. You told me to stop. I told you to stay out of my way. His voice dropped. But you didn't listen. Ace looked on in disbelief, at a loss for words. You thought you could save everyone, Kai continued, his words laced with venom. And when it all fell apart, you disappeared. You left me behind. And when they needed someone to blame, they looked at me. His voice lowered, a deadly whisper. They shunned me, and I had to live with the fact that it was because of you, that you didn't give a damn about what happened to me. Ace's chest tightened. Kai, Of course you didn't know, Kai interrupted, his face twisted with rage. Why would you? The perfect son of the Chosen One. The hero. His voice dripped with bitterness. Meanwhile, I was just the bastard son, the forgotten one. Ace clenched his fists. I would have never wanted that. I would have wanted us to stand together. Kai laughed, a cold, humorless sound. We did stand together. His tone was sharp, accusatory. I just outgrew you, and you, boy wonder that you were, couldn't handle it. Kai's eyes flickered, just for a second. Then, his scowl deepened. So, I'm telling you now, if you're going to try to appeal to my humanity, don't bother, he spat. That died in the future. Ace shook his head. You might be right, but I do believe that whatever happened to you, it messed you up. I see it, and I know I can never get what we had back, but there's something I know that I need to tell you. Kai's nostrils flared. His fingers twitched and his breathing slowed, measured. Controlled rage. You do know, don't you? What will happen when your mother achieves her goal? Enough, Kai muttered. Then Ace saw it. The crack in the mask. It wasn't just anger. It was pain. You know that if she kills our father, you'll cease to exist. You'll be erased from the timeline. Haven't you wondered why she seems so unbothered? It's because she's gonna kill two birds with what? I said, enough! Kai bellowed. The noise echoed through the sky. I trusted you before, Kai said, voice barely above a whisper. Ace's stomach dropped as Kai's hands clenched into fists, the air around them growing tense. But that was a mistake, he continued, his voice hardening again. And I won't make the same mistake twice. Before Ace could respond, Kai clenched his fists, and he lunged. His fist came down with a deadly force aimed for Ace's jaw. Ace barely weaved out of the way, the wind from the punch grazing his face as it passed. Shit. Ace shot backward, hands up in a defensive posture. Wait! Kai lunged again, this time aiming for Ace's ribs. Ace twisted, narrowly avoiding the blow, but the sheer force of it sent a shockwave through the air. Shit. Ace took off, shooting higher into the sky, but Kai was right on his heels, relentless. Running already, Kai taunted. Guess some things never change. Ace gritted his teeth. In his mind, he thought, It's called not dying, jackass. Kai shot forward, grabbing Ace by the neck and slamming him downward. Ace barely caught himself in time, his feet skimming the surface of the earth, avoiding a direct crash. His pulse raced in his chest. Kai was right above him now, hands raised, ready to end it. Ace's breath quickened. This wasn't going to be like last time. He wasn't sure he could get out of this one. But then, a blur of motion shot across the sky, and suddenly, the Chosen One was there. Before either of them could react, the Chosen One had grabbed Kai by the shoulders, throwing him with an unrelenting force that sent him spiraling away. Ace looked at his father. "Oh, hi, Dad." The Chosen One slowly turned, his glare burning. "What the hell were you thinking?" Ace raised his hands, still a little dazed. "Look, I know how this looks. It looks like you almost got yourself killed," the Chosen One snapped. He turns away, speaking indirectly to his son. "We'll talk about this later." Ace hangs his head, holding his arm. Kai recovered quickly, snarling, but before he could attack, a sharp whistle cut through the night. Lexiel's voice rang in his head. "Kai." Kai froze, his fist still clenched. With a final glare, he muttered at the two universals. "We're done here," he said simply. "But this isn't over. Seek me out again, and I will kill you." And with that, he turned and vanished into the night. Ace let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding, his heart pounding. The Chosen One stood there, arms crossed, eyes trained on Ace like lasers. "House, now, we need to talk," the Chosen One said, his voice low and full of warning. Ace nodded, already bracing for whatever lecture was coming. Chapter 7. Tension. Earth 0474. Overworld. The moment they landed, Ace felt the weight of his father's glare burning into the side of his face. The tension pressed down on him like gravity itself. The Chosen One strode ahead, shoulders tense, fists clenched. He didn't speak, not yet, but Ace knew it was coming. The silence was worse than being yelled at. The door to their home creaked open, and the Chosen One stepped inside. Ace followed hesitantly, rubbing his arm. The second the door shut, the dam broke. "Have you gone insane?" The Chosen One spun on him, his voice like a whip. Ace flinched but stood his ground. You just what?" The Chosen One cut him off. "Snuck out in the middle of the night? Flew off into enemy territory? Called out someone who's made it very clear he wants you dead?" Ace clenched his jaw. "I needed answers." The Chosen One let out a sharp laugh, but there was no humor in it. "Answers? You nearly got yourself killed over answers?" He stepped closer, his presence imposing over Ace even though he stood not that much taller than him. "And what would have happened if I hadn't showed up in time? You think Kai would have spared you?" Ace glared up at him. "I could have handled it." "Handled?" The Chosen One chuckled bitterly, looking away from Ace for a split second, then turning right back to him. "Ace, you aren't like you were in his time. You're younger. I'm what? Weaker? Is that what you wanted to say?" Ace shot back. Silence hung between them, thick and suffocating. Then the Chosen One took a deep breath. When he spoke again, his voice was lower, steadier, but somehow more dangerous. "How many times?" Ace blinked. "What?" The Chosen One's eyes burned into him. "How many times have you done this? How many times have you flown off without me knowing?" Ace shifted uncomfortably, and that was all the answer the Chosen One needed. His father's expression twisted into something raw, something pained. "Oh, so you've done this before. Is there anything else you aren't telling me?" Ace exhaled sharply. "It's not like I do it all the time. Sometimes I go to the moon, to the stars, when I need to clear my mind." The Chosen One ran a hand down his face, pacing. He was quiet for a long moment, and when he spoke again, his voice was low, almost shaking. "Ace, you think I don't know what it's like to want answers?" He turned, staring hard at Ace. "You think I don't know what it's like to have questions that eat at you, to want to understand why things are the way they are?" Ace stepped to his father. "No, you don't understand. You've been alive for billions of years. You have no idea what it's like to have a normal life, to have to grow up like me." The Chosen One's jaw tightened. "And in those long years, I learned the hard way. Answers don't bring peace. They bring loss." His voice rose, anger sharpening the edges. "It means you lose people. You get hurt. And He cut himself off, looking away for a second before his eyes locked back onto Ace, fierce and desperate. "You aren't ready yet, son. I can't lose you." Ace's breath caught in his throat. He hadn't expected that. But the anger was still there, simmering beneath his skin. I'm not your son. I lost my dad. He died fighting for your cause. Or did you forget that? The Chosen One raised his eyebrow. What did you just say? I've had enough! Ace snapped, his fists clenched at his sides. Everything is always about you. You just want to control everything I do, every decision I make. But you don't get it, do you? This is my life too. The Chosen One's eyes flashed. And I am merely trying to protect it. The room felt like it was closing in, the air crackling with unspoken emotions and words they didn't mean, but couldn't stop themselves from saying. I don't need you to, Ace shot back. I can take care of myself. The Chosen One gritted his teeth. No, you can't! The sound echoed through the room like a gunshot. It wasn't a punch, it wasn't a blast. It was a slap. Ace stumbled back, eyes wide, a stunned silence stretching between them. He slowly lifted a hand to his cheek, where a faint sting still lingered. The Chosen One's expression shattered instantly. His anger drained away, replaced by something horrified, something regretful. He took a half step forward, hand twitching, then stopped. Ace, I hate you. Ace's voice was quiet, but it cut deeper than any blow. The Chosen One's breath caught in his chest. Ace swallowed hard, eyes burning. His hands were shaking. I worshipped you, his voice cracked. I thought you understood me, but it looks like I was just another one of your playthings. Ace, he turned and dashed out the door, disappearing into the night before his father could say another word. The Chosen One stood there, frozen, staring at the empty space where his son had just been. His hand trembled at his side. He curled it into a fist, eyes shutting tight. God damn it. And for the first time in a long time, he felt powerless. Chapter 8. Confrontation. Earth 0474. Space. Ace flies away, wiping his eyes. Damn him. He could never understand. The cold void of space swallowed his sorrows as he shot toward the moon, his go-to escape from all his stresses. He touched down on the barren surface, staggering forward before dropping to his knees. His fist slammed into the ground, over and over, his frustration echoing in the silence. Stupid, stupid, stupid. How could I think? Crunch. Ace froze. What the hell? A sudden force slammed into his back like a dropkick, sending him hurtling into a crater. He twisted midair, catching himself just before impact, but the sheer force of the blow still rattled his bones. He scrambled to his feet, instincts flaring. A towering figure loomed above him, 8 feet of crimson-skinned muscle, arms crossed like this was all routine. Sharp tusks curved slightly upward from its jaw, and its glowing orange eyes burned with amusement. Battle-scarred exoskeletal armor covered its shoulders and chest, looking both ancient and indestructible. The alien said nothing, but in Ace's head, a deep, gravelly voice rumbled. Dude, your stance is all over the place. Ace blinked, fist tightening. Listen, dweeb, this is my chill rock. Get your own. Ace, still seething from his spat with his father, barely hesitated before launching a punch straight into the alien's face. Nothing. His fist hit the creature's chest and just stopped, like he had punched a mountain. The alien smirked, crossing its arms. You fight like a kid throwing a tantrum. Ace snarled and went all in. Punches, kicks, even a blast of heat vision. The alien barely moved, dodging with minimal effort. Then, with casual brutality, it struck back. Ace barely had the time to register the hit before he was airborne, skidding across the moon's surface. His ears rang. The alien exhaled, shaking his head. Come on, man. If this is all you got, your world's in deep shit. Ace gritted his teeth. Don't take me too lightly. He pushed himself up and let loose a full-power heat vision blast. This time, the alien actually slid back a few feet, its smirk fading just a little. Interesting. The hulking alien then dashed over to Ace, fist raised. Ace braced for the inevitable impact, readying himself. Then, abruptly, the alien stopped. Ace opened his eyes, which he didn't know he had closed. The alien stood in front of him, arms still raised and laughing heartily. Dude, you should have seen your face. Ace growls, burning his eyes red with fury and energy. Shut it, he utters in his mind. The alien chuckled, raising his hands in a surrendering motion. Okay. I've seen enough. Ace, still panting, wiped his mouth. What? You're done? The alien nodded. Yeah, you'll do. Ace clenched his fists. Why the hell did you attack me? The alien shrugged. Saw you show up all pissed off. Wanted to see if your strength mirrored that. Ace's glare changed to a look of confusion. Seriously? You attacked me just to see if I'd be a worthy challenge? The alien smirked. Pretty much. It turned away, already preparing to leave. Well, nice meeting you, kid. Gotta report back to my organization. See you around. Ace, confused, stares at the alien. Wait, Organization? Why are you even here? The alien pauses. I work for a planetary analysis coalition. We evaluate worlds, more specifically, their fighters. See if they can hold their own for when the real threats come knocking. Ace's stomach tightened. I see. He looks up at the alien. Question. The alien looks back. Shoot. He hesitated, then pointed to his head. How am I hearing you? The alien smirked. Telepath. Thought that was obvious. Ace shuddered. So you can read my... Not that kind of telepath. The alien rolled his eyes, pointing to his own head. I can talk to people in their heads, not read their thoughts. Also, it's a one-way link. Just because we're able to talk doesn't mean you can do it with someone else. They won't be able to hear you unless you've got a wireless transmitter. Coalition HQ's got plenty of those. Ace exhaled. Telepath. Wireless link. Gotcha. The alien eyed him. What's your name, anyway? Ace hesitated. I'm Ace Kemper, son of the Chosen One. The alien raised an eyebrow. Chosen, huh? You don't seem like you were chosen for anything. It eyed him up and down, smirking. Though, I see you're out here in just pajama bottoms. Pretty decent physique. Come here often? Ace scowls and covers his bare body with his arms. You could say that. I like to come here when I'm thinking. Hey man, I'm just fucking with you, the alien says, smirking. Ah, Ace says back. The alien cracked its neck. Well, anyway, chosen son, I should be going now. I'll keep in touch. The alien reaches into his jacket and tosses a bulky communication device at Ace. Ace shifts a little as he catches it. Ace looks up at the alien, eyeing him with an odd expression. What the hell's this? The alien grins. It's a communication beacon. Keep watch on that for a ping. It'll most likely be me. It turns, beginning to lift off the surface of the moon. Well, keep in touch, kid. Ace looks up at the alien, clutching his fists. Hold on. What's your name? The alien looked back, a grin tugging at its lips. Vorgal. You can call me Vor. With that, he flies off into space, leaving Ace alone. Ace slumped onto the nearest rock, staring up at the stars. His body ached, his mind spun, and he still wasn't sure what the hell just happened. He ran a hand through his hair, exhaling. The fuck was that about? He stares out at the stars, admiring the sights. This is nice. He feels himself drifting away as he falls asleep on the moon. Chapter 9. Reconciliation. Earth 0474. Space. The Chosen One soars through the void of space, his eyes scanning the surface of the moon. The anger from their fight has long since faded, replaced by something heavier. Regret. Ace lies on a smooth stretch of lunar rock, curled on his side, chest rising and falling in slow, steady breaths. He lay sprawled within the aftermath of his earlier struggle, a scorched crater, cracks splintering across the ground. Even in sleep, his fists remain clenched. The Chosen One lands silently a few feet away, his footsteps masked by the lack of sound. He hesitates, watching his son, his heart twisting. The fight replays in his head. The slap, the words, I hate you. He steps closer. Ace. Asterisk says, P.S. Superhuman or not, people cannot talk on the moon. The reason the Chosen One and Ace are doing it here is, due to their superhearing, they can hear each other's vocal cords vibrating, hence why they can hear the sound. Ace stirs, eyes fluttering open. For a second, he looks confused. Then, seeing his adoptive father, his expression hardens. He pushes himself up, brushing moon dust from his skin. What? He mutters. You here to yell at me again? The Chosen One exhales. No. He sits down beside him, the silence stretching between them. I came to bring you home. Ace looks away, his jaw tight. I needed space. Haha, pun intended. The Chosen One looks around, studying the cracks in the ground. Look, I shouldn't have... What I did back there was wrong. I let my anger get the best of me. He turns to Ace, sincerity in his voice. I'm sorry, Ace. Ace shifts uncomfortably. It's not often he hears his father apologize. Yeah, I'm sorry too. I don't hate you. I was just mad. The Chosen One smiles faintly. I get that. I do. It's a lot to be like us sometimes. Ace scoffs, kicking a small rock. Yeah? You ever stormed off to the moon because you felt like no one understood you? The Chosen One chuckles. Not the moon, but I get it. More than you think. His gaze drifts toward the vast expanse of space. I never had a childhood like you, but when I was Younger, I used to fly out past the atmosphere, just to get away, to be alone. Sometimes I didn't even know what I was running from. My own anger, my fears, the pressure of it all. He shakes his head. It's not easy, carrying this much power. Feeling like no one else can understand what's going on in your head. Ace watches him, surprised. He'd never really thought about his father being in a situation like that. How did you deal with it? The Chosen One exhales. Made a lot of mistakes. Let my emotions control me. Thought I had to figure it all out on my own. He looks at Ace. But I didn't. And neither do you. Ace lowers his head, staring at the ground. After a moment, he sighs. Dad, while I was here, I met someone. The Chosen One raises an eyebrow. Here? Ace nods. Some alien. 7.5 feet tall. Red skin. Tusks. Total asshole. He rubs his jaw. Jumped me out of nowhere. Said he was testing my strength. We fought. I held my own, mostly. The Chosen One's expression darkens slightly. A Dalkari. And then? He just stopped. Said he was scouting planets, evaluating their fighters for adequate defense against real threats. His name was Vorgal. Ace pauses, glancing at his father. He said my power was enough, like I passed some kind of test. The Chosen One frowns, thinking, I don't think I like the sound of that. Yeah, no kidding, Ace sighs, looking up at the stars. He said he'd keep in touch, and threw me what he called a communicator beacon. He lifts it up, showing the Chosen One. The Chosen One nods, then places a hand on Ace's shoulder, giving it a firm squeeze. Well, whatever's coming, we'll handle it. Together. Ace hesitates, then nods. Yeah, I don't know what to do with all of this. The expectations, the responsibility. Sometimes it feels like I'm just supposed to be some perfect hero or something. The Chosen One's grip on his shoulder tightens slightly. You don't have to be perfect, Ace. You just have to be you. He smirks. And maybe not get into random fights with aliens on the moon. Ace snorts. No promises. They sit in silence for a moment, just a father and son beneath an endless sea of stars. Finally, the Chosen One stands, offering a hand. Come on, let's go home. Ace looks at it for a second before taking it. The two take off, leaving the moon behind. Chapter 10. Doubt. Earth 0474. Unknown hideout of the Ills. The chamber is dim, illuminated only by the faint glow of alien tech embedded in the walls. Monitors flicker, displaying surveillance footage. Ace and the Chosen One returning to Earth, unaware of the eyes watching them. Kai stands near the console, arms crossed, jaw clenched. He watches Ace on the screen, his fingers twitching slightly, whether from anger or something else. He doesn't know. Lex-Il lounges in a throne-like seat behind him, watching him rather than the monitors. She smiles, but there's no warmth in it. Only calculation. You hesitate, she says smoothly. Kai's head snaps toward her. No, I don't. Her smirk deepens. Don't lie to me, Kai. I know you better than you know yourself. Kai scoffs, turning away. I'd hope so. You made me, anyway. Lex-Il rises from her seat, approaching slowly. Yes, she murmurs. I did. She circles him like a predator, eyes gleaming. I shaped you, trained you, molded you into what you are. Her fingers brush his shoulder, deceptively gentle. You are mine. Kai stiffens. You're angry. Her voice is almost soothing. Good. Hold on to that. They are the enemy. The Chosen One abandoned us. Ace took everything that could have been yours. Kai's fists tighten. He did hate them. He did want revenge. And yet, something gnawed at him, a whisper in the back of his mind that sounded too much like doubt. Lex-Il tilts her head. You're thinking about what he said, aren't you? Kai flinches. He doesn't have to ask how she knows. She always knows. Her expression softens, an illusion of motherly care. Kai, she murmurs, stepping closer. Do you truly think he cares for you? Kai exhales sharply. I don't know. Lex-Il cups his face, her nails pressing just slightly into his skin. I do, and I know him. Her voice hardens, her grip tightening. He is your enemy, no matter what words he feeds you. Kai swallows. The warmth of her touch is a trick, a leash wrapped around his throat. I need you focused, Lexil continues. The next time we face them, you must not hesitate. Kai nods slowly. Understood. Good. She releases him, stepping back. Now, let's discuss our next move. The screens flicker again, shifting to battle schematics. The moment of intimacy, false as it was gone. Kai clenches his fists and turns to listen, burying the doubt beneath the only thing he's ever known.
Chapter 11. The Stalker. Earth 0474. Chosen One's mansion. Returning from the moon, Ace and the Chosen One descended from the sky, their boots touching down softly on the mountainside. The air was crisp, the floating rock they had just left casting a faint silver glow over the quiet landscape. Their home stood before them, a familiar refuge from the chaos of space. The Chosen One rolled his shoulders, letting out a sigh. We need rest. Tomorrow, we start planning. Ace nodded, but hesitated before following him inside. His mind was still racing from their conversation on the moon. The things his father had told him, the responsibilities laid before him. Everything felt heavier now. As they stepped inside, Ace collapsed onto the couch with an exhausted groan. Man, I swear, if I don't get some real food, You're going to bed. The Chosen One shot him a pointed look. Food can wait. Ace groaned but didn't argue. Fine. But as he stood, something made him pause. The warmth of home settled over him, and the tension that had followed them for weeks finally loosened, even if only for a moment. He turned back to his father. Hey, Dad? The Chosen One raised a brow. Yeah? Ace hesitated, then dashed at the Chosen One, wrapping his arms around him into a tight embrace. It was rare for them to share moments like this, to just exist as father and son, without the weight of the world pressing down on them. The Chosen One held him, laughing. All right, he murmured. Where's this coming from? Ace closed his eyes, enjoying the hug. They broke. The Chosen One looked down, as if debating whether to say what was on his mind. Then, after a moment, he spoke. You know, in the years after the battle, a little bit before your training, you used to sneak into the gauntlet at night. You thought I didn't notice. Ace blinked, caught off guard. Wait, you knew? Of course I knew, the Chosen One chuckled. I'd hear the floor creak, so I went to investigate. And there you were, mimicking my movements, trying to fight like I did. He shook his head, amused. You had no idea what you were doing, but you wanted to. You always wanted to be better. Ace ran his fingers through his hair, suddenly feeling like that kid again, so eager to prove himself. I remember, he sighed. Back then, it all seemed so simple. Spending all that time with you guys all those years ago, I thought being strong like you, confident like Orr, and happy like Ashton would fix everything. The Chosen One sat across from him. And what do you feel now? Ace hesitated, then met his father's gaze. Now, I don't even know where I fit in with all of this. My powers, the burden that they come with, how much I'll only get stronger with age. Seeing what I can do, seeing that alien, knowing there's life out there. He shook his head. It's a lot. The Chosen One leaned forward, resting his forearms on the table. Well, if there's one thing that this old fart has learned about time and growing up, it's that. It's supposed to be a lot. You don't need to have all the answers right now. He patted his son on the shoulder. Look at it this way, kiddo. Time is something that me and you have a lot of. Just take as much as you need. Ace exhaled, the tension in his shoulders finally easing. For the first time in what felt to him like forever, he felt at peace. But then, a creeping uneasiness swept the calm away like debris in the wind. Ace looked beyond his father's shoulders out the window, past the trees. Something felt off. Then, he saw it. A flicker. A glint of red. Ace's breath caught as his eyes locked onto the object. His chair scraped against the floor as he abruptly stood, cutting the Chosen One off mid-question. We're being watched. The Chosen One's expression darkened. He followed Ace's gaze, just as his son burst straight through the door. Ace zeroed in on the source, a small hovering orb embedded near a tree. Without thinking, he dashed toward it and clapped his hands together as the orb attempted to get away from him. Gotcha! He peered into the lens when, oh, come on! A sudden explosion engulfed him in fire and smoke, the force sending him hurtling back towards the house. The Chosen One was at his side in an instant, the dust settling around them. What was that? He said, scanning the area. Dunno, Ace groaned. reaching up to grab the Chosen One's arm and pull himself up. He walked over to the blast site, marked by a ring of dirt. Kneeling, he picked up a piece of the device, which had a cracked lens and wires dangling out of it. After staring at it for a while, he crushed it in his grip with little effort, letting the parts sift between his fingers. But whatever it was, I have a feeling it couldn't have been good. And bad it was. For a while, someone had been tracking them. And now, whoever they were, they knew exactly where to find them. Chapter 12. Uncertainty. Earth 0474. Unknown hideout. Meanwhile, within the cold metallic walls of their hideout, the dim glow of the holographic display cast long shadows over the room, illuminating the sharp angles of Lexil's face as she studied the screen with unsettling precision. Kai sat nearby, his fingers drumming relentlessly against his knee. His patience was wearing thin. As the view of Ace and the Chosen One staring down at them fizzled out and was replaced by static, he stood, turning and walking away from the screen. "They're on to us," he muttered. "I should have gone myself rather than using those stupid drones." Lexil barely spared him a glance, her lips curving into a knowing smirk. "Easy, beloved," she said smoothly. "At least now we know where they are." Kai's jaw clenched. "Then we should attack. Now. While they don't expect—" "No," Lexil replied with a sharp tone, laying the thought to rest. "Not yet." Kai exhaled sharply, irritation flickering in his eyes. "Why does it matter when we attack? They're shaken, vulnerable." Lexil finally turned to him, stepping closer. "Because timing is everything, my son." Kai flinched at the words. My son. He had heard it all his life. It wasn't something he often questioned. Until now. Something about the way she said it made his skin crawl, like he was an object, a possession rather than a person. Lexil studied him, her head tilting slightly as if reading his unease like a book. "Something on your mind?" He hesitated, looking away from her. "I just don't see the point in waiting. Every second we waste, they get stronger, more alert." Lexil's fingers trailed lightly down his shoulder, her touch deceptively gentle. "Because, dear, I need you to be ready, to be certain." Her eyes searched his face, her voice dropping to a whisper. "You've trained your whole life for this. You want this just as much as I do. Don't you?" Kai swallowed hard. Brother. His mind flashed back to his last encounter with Ace, the way he had spoken to him, the way he had looked at him. Not as an enemy, not as a tool, but like he had mattered, like he was family. His throat tightened. He shook his head, pushing the thoughts away. "Of course," he said after a moment, but the words felt forced. He turned away from her, looking at the ground. I need air." Lexil studied him for a long moment before stepping back. "Very well." She turned away, her attention already drifting back to the hologram. But just as Kai reached the door, she spoke again, her voice colder this time. "Take however much time you need, Kai, but don't let doubt weaken you," she said, facing away from him. "Doubt is a poison, and you know what happens to the weak." Kai stood still for a moment, then opened the door, walking out without facing his mother. As it slid shut behind him, he clenched his fists. He exhaled shakily as the tightness in his chest refused to fade. The doubt was already there. He just wasn't sure how much longer he could pretend it wasn't. Chapter 13. Discussion. Earth 0474. The Chosen One's Mansion. Ace and the Chosen One sat at their kitchen table, staring at the remains of what they could salvage from the combusted surveillance drone. The pieces lay scattered between them, the remnants of its failed mission staring back at them in a chilling reminder of the stakes they were facing. Ace glanced at his father. "Man, I should have seen this coming." The Chosen One exhaled sharply, his gaze focused on the wreckage. "Don't beat yourself up. We both missed it. Doesn't matter now. What matters is what we do next." Ace ran a hand through his hair, his mind racing. "So, what now? We know they know where we are. It's only a matter of time before they decide to attack." The Chosen One let out a long breath, his shoulders tense. "All this tells me is that time is no longer on our side. We don't have much of it before they make their next move. The question is, do we wait or do we leave?" Ace frowned. "Leave? You mean Earth?" His father nodded slowly, his eyes drifting to the stars above them. "Yes, but maybe not the moon this time." He returned his gaze to Ace. "It would buy us time, give us the chance to regroup, to come up with a real plan. But..." Ace raised an eyebrow. But I don't run from my fights, and neither do you." His father turned back to face him, a quiet intensity in his eyes. "Plus, like you said,
We know they know our every move now. Going elsewhere would be pointless, and they'd probably expect it. Who knows how many more of those drones are about? Ace scratched his head. Yeah, that's true. The Chosen One leaned forward slightly, his tone narrowing. Even if we left, we'd still end up facing them eventually. These drones proved that running wouldn't change that. It would only delay the inevitable. He clasps his hands together, resting his chin on them. Lexil is relentless. She'll keep coming, again and again, until she either kills us, or leaves us no choice but to kill her. It's how she was bred, being a Kryptonian. And Kai... Ace's jaw tightened at the mention of his alternate half-brother. His thoughts immediately went to their last conversation in the clouds. The anger, the sheer hatred, but underneath it, the cracks, the uncertainty, the doubt. Kai isn't as lost as she may be, Ace said quietly, internally unsure about himself. I saw it in his eyes. He's conflicted, still questioning everything. The Chosen One's gaze softened slightly, but his voice remained firm. Maybe, but internal doubt doesn't always lead to the right choice. It can push a man in any direction. He might turn against her, or he might try even harder to prove himself to her. Ace clenched his fists, frustration boiling beneath the surface. He wanted to believe there was hope for Kai, but the reality of the situation gnawed at him. How deep did Lexil's control go? Could Kai ever escape it? He didn't have an answer. The sudden silence settled between them, the quiet hanging in the air. The weight of what to do next lingered above them both. After a moment, Ace broke the silence. It's weird, you know? For the first time in a long time, I feel like I actually have something worth protecting. Not just myself, not just a mission, but this. Us. He looks up at his father, determination in his eyes. All the peace we've attained, all the lives we've saved, made better. Lex and Kai seek to destroy that, and no matter what happens, we can't let them. The Chosen One's gaze lightened, a flicker of pride in his eyes. You've come a long way, Ace. You're not the same scared little boy you were when we came to recruit you in your home reality. You've grown. Not only physically, but mentally too. And that's why I believe in you. Ace nodded, but the smile quickly faded. I just hope we're ready for whatever's coming next. The Chosen One's face hardened, his resolve clear. It isn't a question of choice. We have no alternative. He places a hand on Ace's shoulder, and they share a glance. We have to be. Chapter 14. Stakeout. Earth 0474. Unknown Mountainside. A few minutes before Chapter 13. The night sky stretched endlessly above Kai as he hovered silently over the mountainside, his arms crossed and his expression grim. The wind whispered through the trees below, carrying the scent of pine and the chill of the coming night. The air he had requested was actually a stakeout, to observe, assess, and report back on findings. His mother didn't know he was here, and he planned to keep it that way. But now, with their house right below him, bathed in the faint light of the window, he found himself frozen in place, caught between two worlds. He didn't know whether to leap out of the trees and strike his father and brother where they stood, or to fall at their feet and beg for forgiveness, for answers. There were still bitter wounds, but beneath them, he was just a lost boy who truly only sought clarity, craved peace of mind, yearned for a true family. Ace's words from their last encounter in the sky echoed in his mind like a haunting refrain. I don't want to fight you. I would have wanted us to stand together. The Kai he had been up until now, the one raised under Lexil's iron rule, would have scoffed at such weakness. It was a sign of vulnerability, of sentimentality. But tonight, for reasons he could not quite place, the words stirred something inside him, a quiet disturbance he couldn't shoulder off like he usually did. His gaze drifted to the mansion below. The modern-styled house sat nestled against the mountains, barely visible through the trees. The warm glow of light inside painted flickering silhouettes against the windows, a quiet reminder of the life he had always yearned for, one that he was now watching from the shadows. He could hear everything, the scrape of a chair against the floor, the murmur of voices from inside. Ace's voice, his father's voice. They were planning something, no doubt. He clenched his fists, the tightness in his chest spreading like a wildfire. They're the enemy. They always have been. But if that were true, then why hadn't he struck already? Why was he still here, watching from the trees like a ghost? His mother's teachings ran deep. The Chosen One was a traitor. Ace was nothing more than a mistake, a false brother. And yet, Something inside Kai trembled. Ace wasn't the arrogant, hate and disgust-filled enemy he'd expected. Instead, he spoke with sincerity, with an understanding that felt like a kryptonite blade to the heart. That kindness, that compassion, was dangerous. That was something Kai wasn't prepared for. The wind picked up, rustling the branches around him, but Kai didn't flinch. His gaze remained locked on the beacon of light emerging from the window. Inside, the Chosen One stood by the counter, arms folded as he spoke to Ace. "We can't just wait for them to attack again. We have to be ready." Ace sighed, running his hands through his hair. "I know. I've been thinking about that." Kai's head tilted slightly, his attention sharpening. He wanted to make sure to hear every detail, whatever decision they were about to make. "There's a simple truth we have to accept," the Chosen One continued, his voice steady but edged with something heavier beneath it. "As long as we stay here, Lexil, and by extension, Kai, will never stop coming after us." Ace straightened, his brow furrowed. "You're saying we should leave?" "It might be the only way," his father replied. "There are places out there where she wouldn't find us. We could regroup, prepare properly." Ace's expression tightened. "I don't know, Dad. Running doesn't feel right." "It's not running," the Chosen One corrected. "It's choosing the battlefield. Right now, we're sitting ducks. We have no idea what else they know." Kai's fingers curled tighter around the ledge of the tree branch he clung to, his grip almost painful. He's afraid of her. Lexil had always spoken of the Chosen One with venom, her twisted obsession woven into every word. But never had she described him as weak. Never had she painted him as someone who would run, who would retreat. And yet, here he was, standing in his own home, contemplating escape. Was that the kind of man his mother had spent so many years trying to destroy? Was that really the kind of man who would abandon them both? Was he really to fight them? Kill them? Was this really his purpose? Being nothing but a weapon, a tool of destruction? His thoughts churned, each one more disorienting than the last. For the first time in his life, he had no answers. "I don't know what to believe anymore," he thought to himself. "You're really considering this," Ace said quietly, looking up at his father as his voice filled with uncertainty. "You're really ready to leave Earth behind?" The question of consideration hit both his father and, unknowingly, his brother, who lay just outside. Kai snapped out of his trance after hearing it, leaning more in to hear better. The Chosen One met his son's gaze, his eyes hardening with resolve. "I don't see another way. Although..." Ace perked up, listening intently. "Dad, I don't run from my fights, and neither do you." His father turned back to face him, a quiet intensity in his eyes. Kai rolled his eyes. "Pathetic," he thought. "Don't make me vomit." Ace's lips formed into a small smirk. "That's true." Kai's attention was suddenly diverted as a crackle from his communicator once again brought him out of his spiraling thoughts. "Kai." Lexil's voice rang out from the device, sharp and demanding. Her tone left no room for hesitation. Kai flinched, his heart lurching at the sound of her voice. "Shit. How did she..." "I can see your location on the monitor. You're at their base." "Why? Of course. Did she put a tracker inside me at birth?" He pressed his fingers against his temple, trying to stuff down the thoughts of fear and uncertainty lest they come into his speech. "Never mind that. I can't let her see my doubt. Not now. Report." His breath caught for a fraction of a second too long, a hesitation that could cost him everything. The seconds stretched, taut and fragile. "Now." Kai exhaled sharply, unable to resist. "From what I've heard, they're discussing leaving Earth." A pause. Then a cold, amused chuckle echoed in his earpiece. "Cowards. How fitting." "And the boy?" Kai's jaw clenched, his body stiffening at her words. "Stubborn as ever. He believes he can turn me." "How hopeless he is," she replied, chuckling slightly. "No matter. After he's left alone, and he sees how strong we are together, it won't take long to break him." The words stung, cutting deeper than he wanted to admit. He said nothing in response. There was no fight left in him to argue. The weight of Lexil's command pressed down on him like a hydraulic vice. Lexil's voice softened, an eerie calm settling over her words. "You've done well, my son. We strike soon. Be ready." The line went dead, leaving him with the silence of the night and his own restless thoughts. Kai stared down at the mansion below, watching the figures of Ace and the Chosen One move about, oblivious to the storm brewing just beyond their walls. A father and son, a family, The very thing he had been denied. And yet I'm still here, he thought, staring at them with hollow eyes. The ache of loneliness gnawed at him, cold and relentless. He had never known true love, never felt the warmth of a family. His mother had trained him, shaped him into a weapon, but had never given him what he needed most: reassurance, a true connection, the love of a mother. What would it have been like to be one of them? To belong to a family that didn't use you? His fingers curled into a fist, the pressure growing until his nails bit into his palm. Lexil's words rang in his mind. Be ready. He wasn't sure he ever would be. Chapter 15. The Attack. Earth 0474. Chosen One's Mansion. Kai remained perched on the mountainside, his hands clenched into tight fists as Lexil's words echoed in his mind. We strike soon. Be ready. The order weighed heavy on his chest, pressing into his ribs like a truck. He knew what was coming. He should have left the moment the transmission ended, but he couldn't tear his eyes away from the mansion below. The warm glow from the windows flickered as the Chosen One and Ace continued their conversation, their movements easy, unguarded. They had no idea how close they were to destruction. Or maybe they did. The Chosen One had said it himself. Lexil would never stop coming after them. They were expecting an attack, just not now. He watched as Ace sighed, rubbing the back of his neck before heading toward the hallway, likely retreating to his room for the night. The Chosen One lingered in the kitchen, lost in thought, his gaze distant. Kai exhaled sharply and turned away as he fought the temptation to fly in and warn them. What would even happen if I did? Would they listen? Would they... Enough. He had done his part. Whatever happened next wasn't his concern. A low vibration hummed in the air, subtle but undeniable. His head snapped up, his sharp eyes scanning the dark horizon. The hair on the back of his neck rose in alarm. A flicker of movement, shadows shifting unnaturally in the tree line. Then, his communicator crackled to life once more. We're here. His stomach dropped. No. Wait, he started, but the words barely left his lips before the night exploded. A deafening blast ripped through the air, shaking the ground beneath him. The mansion's front entrance detonated in a fiery eruption, sending debris flying in every direction. Smoke billowed into the sky, choking the stars as red emergency lights flickered to life inside the house. The tranquil scene was shattered in an instant. Kai's breath caught as his inaction hit him like a physical blow. He had plenty of time to make a move, and yet he hadn't warned them, hadn't done anything. More explosions followed, targeted blasts designed to cripple the trap. He saw armored figures emerging from the smoke, his mother's soldiers, striking fast and without hesitation. They moved with deadly precision, sweeping towards the breached entrance like a flood of darkness. Suddenly, a blur of speed burst through the smoke. Ace dashed into the room, his eyes flaring with energy as he took in the scene, already calculating his next move. He had been expecting this. Kai barely had time to register his own conflicted emotions before Ace shot into action, a shockwave of force sending enemy soldiers flying. The Chosen One followed a second later, his presence commanding, powerful, even in the chaos. Kai watched, frozen between two worlds as his mother's forces stormed the house. He watched in silence and slight impression as his alternate father and brother fought back with unyielding resolve. He had known this moment would come, known this was inevitable. But for the first time in his life, he wasn't sure which side he was supposed to be on. Looking on at the chaos, he hastily made a decision as he flew towards the house. Chapter 16. Parallel. Earth 0474. Chosen One's Mansion. Ace and the Chosen One fought side by side, killing alien soldier after alien soldier. Blasts of heat vision and devastating blows cleared the swath of enemies invading their home. Ace looks at his father as he blasts the brood away from the area. Nice one, Dad. The Chosen One turns to look at Ace. Ace! Look out! Before he could turn around, the wall beside him exploded inward. Debris flew in every direction, sending furniture skidding across the floor. Ace barely had time to register the attack before a hand clamped around his throat, slamming him into the opposite wall with crushing force. He gasped, gripping the arm restraining him, his vision focusing just in time to see the furious glare of Kai. Hello again, brother. Ace sighs. Great. It's you. Now's really not the time, man. Ace! The Chosen One flared his eyes, blasting Kai with his heat vision at near full force. Kai flies off of Ace, crumpling through the entrance he had created in the adjacent wall. Ace looks at his father, brushing himself off. Thanks, Dad. Be alert, Ace. They could face front, dear. The Chosen One whirled, his instincts taking over, but before he could act, Another blur of motion crashed into him. Lexil moved like a phantom, her speed unnatural as she drove a fist toward his head. He barely managed to sidestep, the force of her strike shattering the wall beside them. He countered with a blast of energy, but she twisted midair, avoiding the attack and landing gracefully. She croons, uncharacteristically reckless. You should have stayed on the moon, beloved. The Chosen One exhaled sharply, a smirk tugging at his lips. And what? Miss our date? Lexil sneered, her eyes glowing with malice. Then she lunged. They clashed, blow for blow, neither gaining ground. The Chosen One struck twice, but Lexil countered with a vicious knee to his ribs, followed by a brutal punch across his jaw. He staggered, and in an instant, she grabbed his face. Disappointing, love. You're sloppy. You wouldn't have been this careless in my world. I wouldn't have even had the chance. She leaned in, pressing her lips to his. Ace tilts his head, confused. What? Lexil pulled back, holding the Chosen One just out of reach. To do that. Then, with a wicked grin, she slammed her forehead into his. Once. Twice. He barely had time to react before she hurled him through the wall, sending him crashing outside. Dad! Ace moved to help, but Kai lunged at him. Ace sidestepped, throwing a punch that Kai dodged effortlessly, simply moving his head backward. Kai, I don't want to fight you. Everything I said before, I meant it. I don't want to have to kill you. Kai scoffs. You? Kill me? He cracked his knuckles. Don't make me laugh. The you I knew didn't even stand a chance against me. And you think this lesser version of you will? His eyes darkened. You could never. Kai struck, fast and brutal. A devastating combo sent Ace crumpling to the ground. He tried to push himself up, but Kai's foot slammed into his ribs, sending him crashing into another wall. Lexil turned, satisfied. Good, Kai, she purred, her voice like silk over steel. Now prove your worth to me. Finish it. Ace groaned, rolling onto his back. He looked up at Kai, breathing heavily. Kai looked down at him, and then his eyes go wide. No. He sees the face of his older brother staring up at him. How helpless he was. His pleading expression. You don't need to do this. There's always another way. I can't. Not again. Lexil yells at Kai, breaking him from his trance. Stupid boy! What are you The Chosen One crashed through the hole in the wall like a missile, slamming both feet into Lex's back with a double-legged dropkick. She cries out, her spine obviously broken. A sickening crunch followed as she hit the floor, motionless. Kai looks at her as she collides with the ground. Mother. He dashes over to her, holding her and examining her with his X-ray vision. He turns to look at his father and growls, but suddenly stops, his face slightly widening as he sees a face of pure authority seething back at him. The Chosen One hovers above his two alternate sons, his voice low but dangerous. Take her wherever you call home, and after healing her, leave this earth. Don't ever come back. Kai's fists clenched. He bent down, scooping his unconscious mother into his arms. I grant you this one opportunity to return to your universe, the Chosen One said coldly. You won't live to get another. Kai, who was beginning to walk away, slightly turns, not even looking at him. Then, without another word, he was gone. Chapter 17. Revelation. Earth 0474. Unknown area. Kai soared through the dark sky, Lexil's unconscious body limp in his arms. His grip on her was firm, but not gentle. She was his mother, the only family he had ever known, yet the weight of what had just transpired settled like a stone in his chest. The encounter with Ace and the Chosen One replayed in his mind, each blow, each word, each hesitation gnawing at him. But none of it mattered now. His only concern was getting her to safety. He landed smoothly outside their secluded base, a dimly lit stronghold hidden deep in the mountains. Inside, the hum of consoles filled the air, screens casting an eerie glow against the metallic walls. Carefully, Kai laid Lexil down on a medical cot, her face pale, her breathing steady but weak. He rubbed her forehead quickly, a small moment of intimacy shared between the two. Don't worry, mother, he said under his breath. I will make them pay. As he turned to leave, something caught his eye, a blinking light on one of the monitors. The cursor lay on a folder, which had recently been opened. He hesitated before stepping forward, fingers hovering over the keys. Planting the seed was what the file read. With a deep breath, he selected one of the files in the folder. The screen flickered to life, displaying grainy footage. His father, the chosen one of Earth 0474A, younger and seemingly more vulnerable, sat across from Lexil. His expression was torn, conflicted between something like regret and uncertainty, while Lexil's was composed, too composed. "I don't think we should do this," the chosen one said, his voice laced with hesitation. "I'm still trying to—" Lexil leaned in, a sultry smile on her lips. "You don't have to think, beloved. Just trust me." Then, with a gentle touch, she reached for his hand, her voice dripping with reassurance and something else, something manipulative. Kai looked on in shock. "It can't be." The footage continued. He watched as she guided his hands and saw the cautionary expression on his face turn to a look of surprise and confusion. Kai slowly looked over at his mother, disgusted. The footage cut out, playing a static track. It then came to the final clip, a conversation between Lexil and an unknown individual. "I'm almost at term now. The best part is, he believes it was his choice," she said coldly. "He's blinded by guilt, by loneliness. And when the child is born, he'll have no choice but to acknowledge me, to acknowledge us, or that child will be his reckoning." Kai's fingers clenched into fists. This was never about love. It was just about getting back at him. The video ended. Silence filled the room, broken only by the sound of Kai's ragged breathing. He turned again to his mother, still unconscious, her expression serene despite the truth he now knew. "How dare you?" He dashed over to her, eyes flaring red as he looked down at her. One stroke, he thinks to himself. One movement. It would be so easy. He stepped closer, shadows casting over his face. He stared down at her, the woman who had raised him, trained him, poisoned his mind, the woman who had never wanted him for anything more than a means to an end. His hands seemed to move automatically towards her neck, but he didn't grab her. His body trembled, torn between rage and something else, something he hated to admit. He turned away, and with a burst of speed, he dashed out of the room, leaving Lexil behind. Chapter 18. Betrayal. Earth 0474, Chosen One's Refuge. Kai arrived outside the isolated hideout where Ace and the Chosen One had taken refuge. He had heard them speaking from miles away, his super hearing honing in on their voices. He touched down, his feet skidding slightly against the dirt, heart hammering against his ribs. He moved towards the door, when the door flew open as the Chosen One dashed at Kai, grabbing him by the neck with a single hand and strangling him. The Chosen One's eyes burned red, and Kai gasped out as he tried to catch his breath. "I told you not to come back here!" the Chosen One yelled, spittle flying. "What do you want?" Kai struggled to get a sentence out between ragged gasps. "Father, wait, please. I don't wish to fight you." "It's a bit too late for that," Ace cut in, stepping forward as he narrowed his eyes. "You spent the whole of 48 hours trying to kill us. Why should we believe anything you say now?" Kai spoke through sharp coughs. "Because I did to you." Ace stepped forward slightly. "What?" Kai gasped again, straining. "I now know the truth." After squeezing his throat a bit longer, the Chosen One let Kai go, who upon collapsing to the ground immediately gasped for air. The Chosen One didn't lower his stance, his eyes still burning with heat. "What truth?" Kai's gaze darkened. "About her. About why I exist. About what she did to you." He looks at Ace. "And what she plans to do, too." Ace glanced at his father before stepping forward cautiously. "So, you did listen to my words. Took you long enough to figure it out for yourself." Kai's fists clenched. "I used to think it was just how she was, but looking back on it, she never wanted me. She never cared about me. She only wanted to hurt you." His voice wavered with anger as he looked at his father, with something dangerously close to grief. "My entire life, my training, my purpose. It never really was mine, was it?" The Chosen One finally dropped his stance, allowing the heat in his eyes to fade. "No, it wasn't," he admitted quietly. Kai let out a bitter laugh, shaking his head. "Typical. I spent my whole life kneeling to a woman who never intended for me to have one." Ace crossed his arms. "I'm glad you finally came to your senses, brother." Kai shot him a glare. "You misunderstand me." He steps forward, but then stops himself. "I still hate you. What you did to me back in my time wasn't brought on by her, or our father. No, that alone was entirely you, and for that, you will still answer to me." Ace nodded. "I'm not saying that what I did was right. And I'm not trying to justify my actions either. He stepped forward as well, meeting Kai's gaze. But I'm sorry for how that version of me acted. I can see now that I was the cause of a lot of your pain. Kai let out a slow breath before turning back to the Chosen One. His deadpan expression was firm, his emotions a storm of turmoil. I suppose what's done is done. Seeing me gone, it's not long before she's gonna come looking for me. He looks desperately at his alternate father. Father, I assume you want answers, he said, voice firm. So that's why I'm here, to discuss everything. The Chosen One met his gaze. There was no hesitation. All right, if that's so, let's talk. Chapter 19. Backstory. Earth 0474. Chosen One's refuge. Ace, the Chosen One, and Kai sat at the fire pit, the warm glow of the flames flickering across their faces. The area was quiet, save for the occasional crackle of burning wood and the distant howl of the wind outside. Kai stared into the fire, his expression distant, as if lost in a world of memories. He exhaled slowly before speaking, his voice raw. All my life, I was just a weapon. He hesitated, his gaze flickering to Ace. I was never intended to be like you, to have a life, be a hero. But I tried. When we would meet in secret and save all those people, those were the only times in my life that I felt normal, that I felt happy. Ace sat in silence, unable to respond. He could see the pain etched into every word Kai spoke, the weight of his past pressing down on him like an invisible force. A single tear slipped down Kai's face, catching the firelight as it fell. And then, you betrayed me. Kai's voice broke slightly, his fist clenching in his lap. Left me to face the harsh judgment of those around me. After that, I just hated you. After you left me, aligning with my upbringing, with everything I had been taught, seemed like the only thing left for me. It felt like I had nothing to look forward to anymore. So I felt going dark wouldn't be bad. I felt that it was my destiny. Ace's breath caught as he watched his brother struggle under the weight of his emotions. Slowly, he reached out and placed a firm hand on Kai's shoulder. I don't know what the other me would have said, but I doubt he meant to betray you, Kai. He must have thought, in his own flawed way, that he was protecting you, that if you walked away, you'd be safer, that you'd have a chance at something better. Kai scoffed, shaking his head. Safer? You think I'd be safer under her rule? Under her manipulation? You don't understand what it was like. Every day, I had to prove myself worthy of existence. I had to be stronger, faster, deadlier. The moment I showed weakness, his words trailed off, and for a long moment, he just stared into the fire. The Chosen One, who had been silent, finally spoke. His voice was calm and steady, yet filled with an undeniable weight. It seems that I've been lying to you as well, Kai. Kai looked at his alternate father, confused. How do you mean? The Chosen One glanced at Ace, who also looked puzzled. Then, he took a deep breath and began. I know more than you think, son, about you, and coactively, her. Kai sat on the log, leaning in slightly. It was as if he was intrigued and also scared to hear whatever words were about to be shared with him. A long while ago, I became stuck in an alternate dimension, for many years. This place didn't have a sense of time, at least not in the way we know it. You could say it ran differently from ours. The two boys looked on, intrigued. I had fought a long battle with someone by the name of the Dark Lord. The battle itself wasn't even the worst part. When I finally defeated him and returned from the dimension, the world was different. I had returned to Earth, though it wasn't as I had remembered. In place of lackluster towns and underdeveloped settlements, there were now sprawling cities and vast suburbs. I had to relearn the way of life, learn new experiences, new feelings. He looked at Ace. Not long after, that's when I met your mother, or at least my world's version of her. Ace blinked, tears welling in his eyes. She was a young woman at the time, around what would be 23. A metahuman was terrorizing the city, wrecking buildings, scattering civilians. The Chosen One smiled slightly at her memory, staring into the fire. As it happens, she was among the many people I saved that day, and afterwards, we just kept finding each other. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. The fire crackled as the Chosen One continued his story. As she grew older, I fell more and more in love. Before I knew it, 7 years had passed, and she told me she wanted a child. He looked at his hands. It scared me. I wasn't ready. I wasn't sure what it would mean, Whether the baby would have powers, be like me, or be normal, like her. I wasn't sure whether I would have to watch them grow old and die, or make a city kneel at their feet while I was powerless to stop it. He clenched his hands into fists, staring blankly at them. So, I left the house more frequently. I took more hero gigs, deep space missions. In a sense, I started to avoid your mother. Instead of communicating my feelings, I ran from the idea of a family. And soon, that distance turned into something worse. We fought. The years of bliss were replaced with years of torment and suffering. Then, he turned to Kai. One night, after a grueling fight, I left. I went to a club. I don't know why. I can't even get drunk. But I just didn't want to be home. So, I partied. I eyed other women. Acted like I was single. Ace and Kai looked at him, not knowing how to take the confession. Kai spoke up. And I'm assuming that's where you... Yes, the Chosen One sighed. A woman, eyeing me from the back of the bar, caught my attention. We went to a private corner. I almost made a mistake, did something I would regret, but I lashed out, pushed her off of me at the last second. Kai shuddered. He looked up from the fire, into his father's eyes. Did you, he began, and his father finished his sentence. Did I know that I had just ran into your mother? No, I didn't then, but I do now. He looked at both his sons, guilt weighing heavy in his eyes. The thing that worries me the most is, at the time, I was so broken that I don't think I would have cared. Ace swallows while Kai looks back into the fire. The Chosen One's gaze returned to Ace. Disgusted with myself, I flew back home and confided in your mother. But by then, it was too late. The fire crackled, filling the silence. As you can guess, she split things off with me. Left me there to think about what I had done. I don't blame her, but... He looked away, unable to finish the sentence. The point is, I've made mistakes, and both of those mistakes led to me never bringing either of you into the world, into my life. Seeing you two here, seeing other versions of me with families, it eats at me every day, knowing what I could have had, what both of you could have had. His eyes locked onto Kai's. So listen to me, Kai, he said, leaning forward slightly. If someone as flawed as me can change, can learn from my mistakes, then you definitely can too. Kai shook his head, exhaling deeply. That's the thing, Father. Through all I've done, for her or whoever else, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I even deserve to. Then you're missing the point, son. The Chosen One leaned forward, placing a hand on Kai's shoulder. The concept of change isn't about whether or not you are deserving of it. It's about whether or not you embrace it. He smiles at his alternate son, the kind warmth of affection radiating off of him. No one is beyond redemption, Kai. You just have to want it. The weight of the moment settled over them. Kai brushed away a tear as he glanced down at his father's hand, which still rested on his shoulder, then back up at his warm gaze. For the first time in a long time, he didn't feel completely alone. And maybe, just maybe, a way forward with this new family he had found wasn't impossible. Chapter 20, the finale. Earth 0474, Chosen One's refuge. The three universals sat around the fireplace, the lapping flames casting flickering shadows around them. They chuckled as they shared personal experiences, until suddenly, the tranquil moment was shattered by a deafening crack like thunder. They all looked up. Ace, his eyes fixed on the sky, commented dryly, "That can't be good." The Chosen One agreed. "No, it can't." Kai, his posture stiffening, clenched his fists. "It's not. It's her." They rose as one, readying themselves as Lexil arrived in the fray, landing across from them with a loud boom. Her previous wounds were freshly healed, her expression eerily composed, yet her eyes burned with fury. She stood slowly, her gaze locking onto Kai, who stood firm beside the universals. "So, you've made your choice," she hissed, stepping forward. "You disappoint me, dear. Did I not give you purpose? Shape you into something greater?" Kai's fists clenched at his sides, his jaw tightening. "All you did was use me," he said, voice steady despite the storm raging in his heart. "I was never your son. I was just another weapon to you." Lexil smirked, tilting her head. "Too right you are." Before Ace or the Chosen One could react, she moved in a blur, seizing Kai in a crushing headlock. He gasped, fingers clawing at her grip, but she held him firm. You are mine, Kyle. You always have been, and you always will be. Ace surged forward, but a sudden blast of heat vision sent him sprawling back. The Chosen One reached out, his voice sharp. Lex, let him go! She ignored him, her expression devoid of remorse. But if I cannot use you, she whispered in Kai's ear, then you are useless to me. With a sickening crack, she twisted his neck. The light in Kai's eyes flickered, then went out. Kai! Ace yelled. No! The Chosen One followed suit. She smirked, kissing her lifeless son's body on the cheek before discarding it like a broken doll, letting it crumple to the ground. A chill settled over the battlefield. Ace and the Chosen One stood frozen, horror-struck, as the weight of the moment crushed them. Ace clenched his fists as he stared her down. How could you? He was your son! Lexil's expression twisted with something close to satisfaction. You nosy brat, she seethed. You made me do this. You took my weapon from me. Now, I will take everything from you. She took off, streaking toward the city. Crimson beams of heat vision rained from the sky, tearing through buildings, sending terrified civilians scattering. Ace snapped out of his stupor, launching into the air after her. Dad! Help the people! I'll stop her! The Chosen One nodded. Will do. Be careful, son. Ace soared forward, intercepting Lex just as she prepared to strike another target. He tackled her midair, the force of impact sending shockwaves through the city. They clashed, fists colliding with thunderous force. Lex swung with utter carelessness, her strikes fueled by rage. Ace answered with fury, dodging her wild swings and retaliating with devastating precision. As Ace wailed on Lexil, striking her with blow after blow, the Chosen One moved among the wreckage, guiding civilians to safety. Alas, the young half-universal was not strong enough to make a significant impact. You killed my brother, he yelled, landing a blow on her with every word. Lexil caught his fist, licking the blood from the corner of her lips. Good. The young halfling shows some fire. Her grin widened. It's a shame you died too quickly in my time. Be a good boy and make it fun for me, won't you? She hits Ace with a devastating blow to the stomach, doubling him over, then grabs his arm and pins it to his back. Give Mama a good show. She struck Ace with a powerful uppercut, sending him reeling. Before he could recover, she was upon him, hammering him with relentless speed. She grabbed him out of the sky, spun him, and hurled him through a skyscraper. He crashed through steel and glass, colliding with a tanker that exploded on impact. The Chosen One turned, his heart stopping as he saw the fireball rise. Ace! The Chosen One cries out as he activates Limit Break. He dashes towards Lexil, striking her with superhuman blows. She cried out, feeling the force of his godly power. Except, she seemed to be enjoying it. Yes! Give me more, beloved! She moaned in delight. She intercepts a blow from the Chosen One and snaps his arm with a precision strike. He cries out and she knees him in the head. Kneeing him again, she grabs his non-broken arm and whirlwinds him into a bus. The bus caves as the Chosen One collapses, unable to move. She dashes toward him, picking him up. This is pathetic, she says. You can't even show me a good time, even in that transformation of yours. What made you think the two of you were enough to defeat me? He struggled, but her grip was ironclad. My poor, poor Chosen One, she cooed. Now, I'm gonna make you watch as your son dies. No escape this time. She jams her hand into the Chosen One's side, penetrating his skin with a wet squelch. He cries out as his transformation flickered and died. Lex twisted her arm in the wound, grinning. This is what you deserve, she spat as she protruded the hand from his rib cavity. The Chosen One fell over, bleeding profusely from the wound in his side. Ace sat up, dazed, just in time to see the strike that decommissioned his father. His breath caught in his throat. Time seemed to stop as Ace's heart pounded against his ribs. His vision went white-hot with fury. Something inside him snapped. No! No! A force unlike anything he'd felt before erupted from his core. His body ignited with raw, unfiltered power. The air trembled around him, the sheer energy distorting reality itself. Ace stood, bathed in a glowing white-orange aura. His golden-orange eyes locked onto Lexil as he stared at her with a look of intensity. The Chosen One, barely conscious, grinned weakly. You're fucked, lady. She headbutted the Chosen One out and began to turn to look at Ace, unimpressed. Your father just did that, boy. You're gonna have to do bet. She barely had time to react before Ace was upon her, striking her with an earth-shattering uppercut, sending her hurtling through the city. He took off after her, giving chase. Stopping above her, he pauses for a bit to belt out a statement. Do you know how much I've lost? Ace screams, interlocking his fists in a hammer motion. Do you know how much I've been holding back? He finishes the statement, slamming her towards the ground. Her blood splashes around him, and he closes his eyes for a second, floating in the air. He exhales and rockets to follow her. He crashes her into the ground, unleashing a relentless barrage, fists drenched in blood. You will never harm anyone ever again! Ace wailed on her with unrelenting force, drenching himself in her blood. He kept hammering down on her, not even seeing anything but a blur. "Ah!" he yelled, his voice hoarse from the feral screams. When he finally stopped, Lex lay crumpled at his feet, her body racked with lacerations and blood. She was barely breathing, her face disfigured beyond recognition, mashed into a mushy paste. She gurgled on her own blood, no longer able to speak. Ace stood over her, chest heaving. The rage he felt for her burned in his veins, screaming for him to continue, to end this. He raised his hands in preparation for a final blow. But then, he turned. His father lay in the rubble, weak but alive. His gaze met Ace's, and in that silent exchange, the storm inside him began to settle. Lex Hill had taken enough from them. He wouldn't lose himself, too. Ace exhaled sharply and stepped off of her broken form. He dashed over to his father, tending to him. "Dad," Ace said, spluttering. "You're okay. The Chosen One struggled to breathe. "Ace, home." Ace, through tears, scooped up his father and took off, flying as fast as he could back to their camp. "Hold on, Dad. We'll be there soon," Ace said, looking forward as he flew. Hours later, the Chosen One rested in a cot at their camp's medbay, as Ace sat beside him tending to his wounds. He took a break to stare at his hands, still flecked with Lexil's dry blood as they trembled from the blows they dealt. A weak voice rose up from the bed. "Ace, look at me." Ace slowly raised his head, tears in his eyes. "You did what you had to do," the Chosen One murmured, his voice hoarse. Ace swallowed. "I know, but that's what scares me. I didn't just beat her, Dad. I brutalized her. He trailed off, struggling to find the words. His father smiled faintly. Hey, it's all right. The fact that you feel that fear, that you even question it, it means you're still you." Ace nodded slowly, his mind heavy with all that had transpired. He rested his head against his father's chest, the weight of his actions pressing on him. He knew that they would never truly leave him, but for now, his father was safe. For now, his father was alive, and that was all that mattered. The end. Post-credit scene. The Planetary Guild. Earth 0474. Mimas. Saturn's moon. 2039. On a sprawling base on the surface of Mimas, one of Saturn's moons, Vorgal the Violent walks into the base's courtroom, a grand chamber consistent of white and gold architecture and many glaring lights. Around a circular table stand 5 figures from across the galaxy, each representing a branch of the coalition of the universe. At the left side to the center, a Caldarian emissary, a member of the race famed for forging the Caldarian armor systems, dressed in ceremonial garb with some hints of their own sleek metallic exosuit, studies a holographic projection. 2 seats beside them to the right, an Etherean envoy, a radiant, almost weightless in presence, watched Vorgal enter with a silent but observant stare. 2 other alien representatives sit in quiet tension on the corners of the chamber, discussing with the Caldarian and the Etherean beside them. At the center of it all sits a regal, balding man, High Warden Thalor, a defector of the warrior race the Zygorians and the leader of the coalition of the universe. He regards Vorgal as he enters the chamber. "Vorgal of Dalkar, what news do you bring to us? Did you arrive on Earth to recruit the Universal who resides there?" Vorgal nodded his head. "Indeed I did, High Warden. And in doing so, I found something more." He presses a button, and the holographic screens change to show various images of a young man. The man is Ace Kemper, the half-universal Vorgal had fought 7 years prior. "I bring you Ace Kemper," Vorgal begins. "He's half-universal, and the son of the Chosen One." A few murmurs ripple through the council. "Upon testing him, I found him to be a being with raw potential, unlike anything we've catalogued on the planet Earth. Other than his father, of course." The Caldarian clasps his hands together, uneasy. "Very interesting," Thalor said. "A half-universal. He is untrained?" Vorgal nods. "He's powerful, but young, still learning, and more importantly, adaptable." The Etherean envoy speaks next, their voice echoing out in a layer like wind through glass. "Adaptability does not guarantee that we can control him. He needs to be kept in check, and watched at all times, neutralized, if he becomes too violent or dangerous." Vorgal looks at the Etherean, shaking his head. "You don't understand. He doesn't need to be controlled. He needs to be trained. Ace is a good guy. He's not a threat to anyone who isn't trying to destroy his home. This could be the chance we get to finally rid the cosmos of the Zygorians.
The Etherian, whose name was Eral, scoffs pointedly. Have you forgotten what his father did many years ago? The rampage he went on shook the Earth for many cycles. What if that happens with Kemper instead? What could that spell for the Earth?
The Calderian nods their head. Eral brings forward a good point. If what you claim about their power is true, and they will one day surpass their father, this boy could destabilize every peace treaty we've built. Upon seeing what the opposing party preaches, it's very possible that he could join them instead of us. Thalor raises a hand slightly, silencing the tension. Vorgal is right. He could be an asset to us. And if what I suspect about him is true, he says, eyes narrowing, he may also be right about him being the only thing able to rid us of the curse that the Zygorians are wreaking upon the solar system. One of the council members asks, and what is your recommendation, Great Thalor? Thalor's expression doesn't change. We must bring him in immediately. Observe him directly. Thalor clasps his hands together. Vorgal, where is he now? Vorgal crosses his arms slightly, his expression shifting into an unamused smile. Don't worry, I'll get in contact with him. I have a way. Thalor nods once. See to it, Vorgal. You have done well bringing this information to me. I will talk to the council. Report back to me when you have made contact with Kemper. The holographic screens fade, and Thalor drapes his arm across his chest. Vorgal repeats the gesture and bows his head in respect. Thank you, Great Thalor. I will. As he turns and moves to exit the room, a small smile forms on his face. You won't regret this, Thalor. I promise you, he thinks to himself. Cut to Earth 0474, the Chosen One's mountain base, 2039. The quiet night air rings out in the fold, silhouetting a rigid wall of mountains. As the shot pulls closer to the wall, a small light spills out of a dim room, highlighting a bed sitting near an open window. The wind moves gently through the space. On the bedside table sits a bulky communication beacon, the same one Vorgal the Violent gave Ace Kemper years ago. The room lies still, the shot lingering on the quiet interior of the room. Then, a whoosh rings out, and a figure stops in front of the window, casting a shadow as they float silently through the opening. The figure drops down, landing quietly on the ground. A 25-year-old Ace Kemper turns as he closes the window, tired and worn with exhaustion from the long day he returned from. He rubs his eyes, removing his upper clothing and tossing it lazily on the floor as he walks slowly over to his bed. With a zombie-like groan, he flumps face first onto the covers, falling asleep almost instantly. The shot continues to linger on Ace, who breathes in and out, snoring into his pillow. Suddenly, the beacon on the table begins to flicker, pulsing with a soft blue light. It blinks once. It blinks twice. Ace shifts, squinting his eyes but not noticing the light flashing on his ceiling. The light continues to blink, a persistent call to action. Ace stirred slightly in his sleep. He finally awoke and turned to see the light persisting. What the? He pushes himself upright, moving over to the beacon as he squinted at the light flashing in his face. He pushes the button, and a hologram pops out. A familiar voice coming from an unfamiliar-sized body greets him with happiness. Ace? Ace! Holy shit, is that you? You look just like your dad. Ace exhales through a yawn, rubbing his eyes. Sleepily, he addresses the hulking alien he sees in front of him. What is it? What's so important that you had to... He pauses mid-yawn. Call me on a Saturday. Vorgal smirks, rubbing his hands together and leaning forward in the projection like he's been waiting years for this moment. You remember all those years ago on Earth's moon, that planetary analysis coalition I was telling you I was a part of? He said, excitedly. Ace smacks his lips, frowning at the bright light of the hologram. Yeah? What about it? Vorgal smirks, almost unable to contain what he was about to divulge. I got something for you, but you'll have to come meet the team. Trust me, dude. You're not gonna want to miss this.